Hello everybody, it's me Gavin, and we're back with another video for the history of Kiola. This will be episode 4, and as you can see, we have some changes to the map. I went ahead and made all of the studs smaller so that the borders can look nicer, and there's some new land and also rivers and stuff. So we have a couple islands, we have a new kingdom, the Kingdom of Soria, and then I went ahead and completely revamped the south to make it kind of like Europe, where we have a lot of peninsulas and a sea and stuff, so that it'll be more interesting. This is the Plamore Sea, and you can see all the stuff around it. And we have some new nations. So over here in the Jock Marshlands, we have a ton of tribes. Then upon this river, we have Srioi. Down it, we have the Ualan Lake, which is in the now named Rockney Desert. We can see the borders with this little tan line. It's a pretty small desert. And upon the lake is Koa. I forgot. I thought of how to say the nation names and I forgot. Man. And that is all the new nations we have for now. There hasn't really been any territorial expansions of these nations between episodes. It's just been the borders changed a little bit because I changed the stud size, so it looks a little different. But I also added a little list here where we have the top 5 militaries, which are the Norasian Empire at number 1, then Greater Etona number 2, number 3 is the Great Union of Jokla, and then Daril and Irkaz. And if you don't remember who those are, Daril is over here, this white nation, and Irkaz is the largest tribe here. The top 5 economies are going to be Greater Etona, the Coastal Council of Deroy, then the Norasian Empire. Now the reason they're kind of low despite being really the largest nation here, the strongest, is because they've just fought a war, so it's sort of hurt their economy and their people. And then the Kingdom of Samani is pretty high due to their expansion and trade with the Norasian Empire. And then Portly, Doral, and Iria are about tied because they all have like a mutual trade and they'll have a lot of resources. And nobody else was really close enough. And so we're just going to get into it. There's a lot of stuff that is going to happen. And first off is just we're going to have some conflicts between these tribes. Now, this more dark purple tribe over here, they're going to expand to the side because they kind of want to get away from this drama between all these tribes. They don't want to have to fight a war. Whereas this large, what color is this? This bright violet tribe is going to attack this very light purple lavender sort of color tribe. And so we'll just make a little concrete color here. And they're going to start to push in. And this tribe is larger and has more people, so they're able to bring more forces to bear. And these tribes are not too developed. They don't have very advanced governments. They just have basic tribal sort of governments. But they know their ways with the spear and throughout the marshes to fight, which means that if any invaders tried to invade into the marshlands, it would just not work out. It's kind of like in the Vietnam War, where just the terrain was so bad and there's all the traps and stuff. And so eventually they're pushed back to the river, where small skirmishes fight out because the armies are pretty small. But the Bright Violet tribe comes out on top, continues to push in until this tribe surrenders, and they make an expansion. And at this point, I feel like we should give these tribes some names. But you know what? We're going to let them consolidate a bit first because we'll get down to less tribes and then we'll have to do less names. There's going to be another invasion of this almost bluish purple. Where did I get this? Right here. This is Lilac, I believe. So we're going to get Lilac invading Alder. And they also have a bit more people, a bit more troops, and they're going to push in. And this is going to be a pretty easy war as well. And another victory. And let's check what color this is. The Mulberry tribe, not wanting to miss out on opportunities for expansion and wanting to gain a coast, is going to go to war with the Lavender tribe. And they'll start to push in. They'll connect with the coastline, cutting off this north. And they'll continue to push in. And they'll continue to push. And where are the Lavender tribe? And then a huge counterattack in the north retakes the north as the Lavender tribe begin to push into the Mulberry tribe as well. And their general leads another army for the defense of their capital, which is going to be along the river right here, which is now under threat. And now this is not a proper city with walls and stuff. It's just has the cities, the villages and stuff. So they fight at the outskirts. And this general, this leader of the nation, is going to have a stunning victory, pushing back and destroying basically the Mulberry's army here. And without much more troops, they start to crumble and lose, and eventually lose the war and are annexed by the Lavender tribe. And here we can see the change, the end of the change of the situation. The, what color is this? Is it not showing? The Dark Indigo tribe is going to just expand along this river and along the coast a bit. And that will be the end of the expansion of the tribes. And we will give them their names. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tribes within the Joch marshlands. I don't know if there's a difference between marshes or marshlands, but I couldn't put marshes. It was like censored. So these we'll have to think of. Here, I'll just do the names real quick. Alright, so I've named all the tribes, and I'm not going to bother saying them. You can read them and figure out on your own how to say them, because I don't want to deal with whatever pronunciation of whatever the languages are going to be in here. But, yeah. And now, over here, a bit further down the coast, Srioi is going to continue down the river a bit of an expansion, and this land over here is steppe. And if you don't know what steppe is, it's basically like a big plain. An example of steppe is going to be like Mongolia and Ukraine and sort of southern Russia, Central Asia. There's a big steppe that runs across all there, and that's like where the Mongols were going through and stuff. It's kind of a dry plains. I'm not sure too much what the difference between it and plains is, but you could just Google it, you know. And the Koi are going to expand along the river too. And they're going to expand a bit along the Ualan Lake. And they're going to stop about here while the Srioi are going to continue thinly down the river until they reach the Koi. And and Srioi is going to say, "Hello, who are you?" Koi will say, "We are the Koi. We are down the river where it comes into the Ualan Lake." "Who are you?" And Srioi will say, "We are Srioi. We are from the other side of the river where it opens into another body of water." Well, I suppose they don't know this is a lake, they just know that there's water. Oh, so there's water to the north and the south. Interesting. We're going to say that this way is the north, the way I'm facing, and this way is the south. The sun is there, but ignore that. You know, nobody cares. And they're going to say, Srioi will say, "We are both have water, we're both in the steppes. We are basically brothers. We are the same culture, ethnicity, language. Do you want to make an alliance?" And Koi will say, "Yes, I would love to make an alliance. We can trade between the different things we have in our lands. and grow strong together. And so their relations are good between them now, and they form an alliance. Now over here, Jokla, knowing the threat of the Eurasian Empire, is going to make some expansions in order to gain more land. And also, I didn't do the stutter here. Hold on. Just one moment. Okay, that's good enough. And now this almost looks like a or a person sitting down with their legs like merging into one and their arms spread, like when you have them spread like on the back of the couch or whatever. And there's the head. Or something. And Jokla is going to send out some boats, and they're going to find this little island, and they're going to make a sort of colony there. Norris is also going to notice this island that they found in the newly named Osor Sea and colonize it as well. And eventually, Jokla will expand a bit more, and Soria, the new kingdom, is going to expand. And also, just for note, they have traditional monarchy, not the monarchy that Samani has, which will be important soon. But Soria and Jokla meet up and form a little border. And Soria's like, hello, we are the kingdom of Soria. Who are you? And Jokla says, we are the great union of Jokla. We are a big power here on the Joklan River. And they ask, what information do you have about this eastern land that you're from? And Soria says, well, I am just along the coast, and I know of another land across the water, but no one else around me. And Jokla says, all right, we will not attack you if you do not attack us. There's a great power to the west who threatens our lands. And maybe it would be good if you could join us in a defensive alliance, because if they were to continue to push in, once we are destroyed, you will be next. And Soria is like, sure, we are pretty small and weak right now, and if there's such a great power, we want to be able to stay well defended and take them down if they're trying to threaten us. And so they form a defensive alliance. Soria is also going to expand a bit along the coast of the island in their little colony they have, and improve their ports that they have between their capital here and their second biggest city on the coast of the colony here, and their ships as well, as they build some more and sort of build up a bit of a navy. Samani and the Norasian Empire are also going to build up more of their navy because of their wanting control, especially the Norasian Empire, because of their newfound island, and then the split between their mainland, the colony here, and the Karani colony, which I renamed. But we're going to see, throwing it back to, hold up, I just want to fix this, to what I said about the monarchy in Samani. Now, if you don't remember from the last episode, basically, instead of just having one royal family, there are multiple royal families, and the king, or queen, I guess, will choose an heir from one of those royal families, and each of those royal families chooses a candidate. So the king or queen chooses from those candidates, from a couple different royal families. But almost immediately, also let's just update the time a little bit. It is now the year 23, and the population is going to be 400,000. And the people in Samani are sick of this, specifically these people in the southern part. The Yorans, if you remember, South and North Yor from the Karani Empire, split. And also some of the Samanians. And we will have the Samani Civil War. Now let me just find a nice color for the southern part. And we're going to see mostly complete control in the south for them, with a couple rebel ones as well further north. But you can see that it's mostly split. And out of goodwill for each other, well, out of goodwill, the Southern Kingdom, which is going to be the Samanians, and the northern part is now the Narians, who still support the crown for the most part. And also, for the sake of war, we're going to find the capital of the Samanians, which is going to be right here, and this is going to be Deros. And in this war, what we're going to see is that the Samanians are going to just get rid of these pockets, and same with the Narians, to basically consolidate their positions. And they're going to let these people, move out. They won't kill them. They're kind of respectful, but we're going to see the beginning of the fighting, organized fighting. And with the support of the Urians who have lived here, more of this land, the Samanians have more people, and thus they have a larger military, and so they're going to keep pushing up. They're going to push up a bit, and since we've got a bit of established borders, we'll go ahead and make a color for advancing. And the Narians are going to start to be pushed back, but they're going to make a little attack through here and come in and then counterattack, cutting off this army, who's going to push through the desert and secure their freedom. Pushing these guys back and stabilizing the front, with their greater forces being able to cover more distance. And the Samanians are going to keep pushing in to the Narians. And we'll actually see that more people are going to rise up, not liking the leader of the Narians, the current king. And we're going to have some rebels as well erupt within Narians, and at this point they're kind of falling apart as the Samanians push in further. The rebels are unable to be contained due to the lack of troops, and they meet up, and the Narians decide to try and sign a deal with the Samanians, and we have the Treaty of Deros. And so basically, I'll just write out a little list. And we have the Treaty of Deros, where the Samanians and Narians will split into the Kingdom of Naria. Let's write that real quick. Kingdom of Naria, which keeps their old monarchy, and the Samanian Federation. The two states will sign a non-aggression pact, and Naria will pay war reparations to Samani for 2 years. And what we'll see in the Samanian Federation is a development of a sort of republic. So they realize that if they just have any sort of leader, any sort of king, that is not a proper way to pick a good leader. So they have come up with an idea. Now, this is known as a federation because they have basically, here's how the government works. The leader is chosen by two different bodies of representatives or senators, which are from the Urians and the Samanians in the area. and they each get like 10 different representatives, and they will come together to choose a leader out of whatever leaders there are as like candidates, and they can also choose their own candidates between the 10 of them, between the different sides, to have like 2 or 3 different candidates per side. So I guess it's kind of like the 2 different political parties in America, if you're American like me. But it's because they're the different cultures. And also this is sort of kind of like Austria-Hungary, where we have a dual leadership between 2 different languages, cultures, ethnicities. And Naria is going to sign these terms that they are not a huge fan of, as well as also losing some land in the south, which is going to be this region, because they need to use their military to deal with the rebels, and they are able to beat the rebels. But the king decides to change up some of the things in the country to hopefully appease the citizens some more. And after all this in the south, we'll finally see something in the north on the Ionesque Peninsula, with the Coastal Council of Deroy making a small expansion because they want to gain more power, sort of joining in more of these nations. But we'll see that those Feroy Raiders, there are more people of that ethnicity, and we have a big group here, as well as a couple smaller groups. One here along the coast, and one in here, which connects the 2, and they're in a small sort of alliance. And Deroy isn't going to declare war on them or anything, but they do have some hostilities between the 2 different sort of groups. But there are more people here. The Norwegian Empire is going to continue some expansion as well, because they really do want that power. And we're going to see, due to a bit of unrest, some sort of riots. Not a full revolt, but riots and stuff, basically from the people of Caria. What were they called again? Canal and Rosie. That they will form sort of administrative lands where the peoples of Canal, Caria, and Rosie will be able to control their own little land areas. Which I'm going to change this. But their powers are weakened, and they still ultimately have to listen to the Norwegian Empire. It's just that they can have some of their own freedoms to sort of hold them over for a bit and make them more happier. Kind of like, this is because I played Hearts of Iron 4, like the Reich's commissariats of like the little puppets basically that the German Reich formed, where like it just helps. But this will help them manage this, and Etona, the Norwegian Empire, and Deroy are at peace, seemingly no plans to conquer each other for now. But who knows? The Norwegian Empire could easily take Deroy. Etona, probably they could take Etona, but it would be difficult, and if they made major mistakes, they could definitely lose. And a 2-front war against Deroy and Etona, they would pretty likely lose. And over here in the Tribal Confederation, we will see that Firoz wants a coastline, so they're going to start to expand outwards, but Firoz, wanting to keep this power over them, is going to take all the nearby coast and expand a lot, so that their expansions end up not being able to find a coastline. But Deer Laws being blocked in by this is going to be unhappy. Your cause is going to expand further along the coast and the river in the west, and tensions are starting to brew up in the tribal confederation of the Triple Rivers, where Firoz is not happy that Piraz took their coast, and Nirlaz doesn't want to be cut off anymore. And we might see a war between the three, and actually, that's what we are going to see. Nirlaz and Piraz make a deal because Piraz wants to keep power in the situation. They will both declare war on Firaz to give Nirlaz a position to expand. And they will both get what they want. And so they will start an attack, having more troops because they have more people, because they are just more nations. And in fact, we're going to make this darker instead. But they're going to push in, and Firaz is just not going to be able to withstand this very well, and immediately they just sort of collapse. And then what we're going to see is that Nirlaz is just going to take all of this land, a little bit more, and Piraz is going to take all of this land. And Irkaz, seeing this, is enraged. They have killed their fellow tribe and just in cold blood and betrayed the alliance. And Irkaz says that they have 3 months to bring back, I forgot the name, to bring back the tribe, to bring back Firaz, or else Irkaz will declare war. But Nirlaz and Piraz have no plan of doing this because they think they can take Irkaz. And this may be a mistake. And so the months passed. It is now the year 24. With some small wars, population growth slows down a bit, but it's still speeding up, going exponential as the population, I don't know how much it increased, but it's going to hit 475,000. And the war is going to begin because they did not listen to Irkaz's demand. So once again, I'm going to make this like, oh, I can make it landy this way. It's just going to be white. But they're going to start their attack, moving for the river, the Droraz River, which, for the sake of war, once again, capitals. And so the Irkaz capital is at this river junction here. That's a fort. I don't want it to be a fort. Nirlaz's capital is also at the junction, and Piraz's capital is right here. And the Irkaz are immediately going to attack Nirlaz's capital and take a lot of their land and find a crossing of the Droraz, a bridge down here that they take, and cut off this peninsula. Piraz's troops move in and sort of consolidate the situation a bit, forming a defensive line. But Nirlaz is losing. They thought they could take him, but not really. But Piraz's troops up here make a small offensive. Actually, we'll do pushing for the capital, but Irkaz's larger army has troops there and pushes them back and just keeps pushing back into Nirlaz. And eventually their capital falls, this peninsula falls, and they're at the border with Piraz, and Nirlaz is just crumbling. At this point, a spearhead large army of Irkaz moves for the capital of Piraz while they push in, and Nirlaz capitulates with Piraz's troops still owning some of this land, forming a new front line, but they are being pushed back and they just surrender to avoid more fighting because they know they can't win. Irkaz takes the both of them, realizing that Irkaz is, even with an alliance, they still just want more power, more expansion, and so If I cannot trust other people, I will conquer them, and I know I can trust myself, and so I will be the only one there is to trust. And the Tribal Confederation of the Triple Rivers is no more. That's the dice. Instead, we have the ear cause, which now turn into the Triple River. Empire. The previous leader of the ear cause becomes a leader over the entirety of the Triple Rivers in an autocracy. Which means just one leader. If you didn't go to school, if they don't teach you that in school, you know. I think my audience is mostly younger people, so maybe you didn't learn it or forgot it. And we just see once again the consolidation of nations as smaller ones died weaker to larger, stronger ones. And I think that's a good time to end this episode. We've seen a lot of development of the nations. Well, we're just going to see a couple more nations form to the south. The first of which will be a nation along here, moving into the steppe. We will see. Let me find a better color for this because it's right next to the ocean. So we'll just do it like a light pink. Actually, I think I already did pink. I don't know. Whatever. Along this strait. There we go. Along this strait, another nation, and then we will see some more nations over here on this large area. We will see one along the coast here going inland, and then another one here along the river and the coast. And so let's give them all names. So over here is still the steppes, the same culture as Suroi, but they wanted to form their own nation, and this is going to be the Khanate of Yor. And let's do the color. We have, I'm just going to name these all in the pause so it takes us on. Alright, so this nation here is Aloka, and so in Aloka the religion is Doranism, where they believe in Dron and Delor, which are the two gods of the entire world, which are the two sons of Kiola, the way they see those two sons at least. And Paranite is because the Paran is the leader of the Doranism religion, who is also the leader of Aloka because it is a theocracy. And so Paranite is like caliphate. So that we have Paranite Aloka. And in their religion, they want to expand and encompass the entire land, just like the guiding light of Dron and Delor encompass the earth and allow plants to grow and life to live. And then over here we have Izov and Sukov, which are of the same culture. And here is a mix between just some plains and forests. Not too special. Over here is a mountainous, dry area, kind of like the Middle East and like Turkey or the Anatolian Peninsula and like the Caucasus, where it's like some sort of hills and rocky mountains. Not too much, so it's not a whole mountain range, but then some drier, flat plains, where it's kind of the end of the steppe, and also the marsh. But that will be it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy, tell me which nation is your favorite. Give me any cool ideas you might have for nations, for conflicts, for lore, anything that could happen, religions, anything really. And I will see you guys all in the next episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you did enjoy this one. And goodbye.